Web 2.0, what's it all about? What matters? When I spend time with leaders in government around the world, the question they ask me is, we kind of understand what's going on. We know the Facebooks and the YouTubes and the things that are happening in the commercial world. In particular, they know that their teenage children are online participating in these, and they're a little nervous about that. But they want to understand what Web 2.0 means to their organizations. Have you ever felt that you were just behind and could never catch up with an innovation, a wave, a new phenomena, something that was forcing you to change and frankly react to it as it evolves? I think it's clear listening today that we're in the very early stages of this. We're in a period of time where there's a lot of experimentation, a lot to learn. But by no means are we behind yet, although I think the teenagers in our families are way out ahead of us. We still are automating industrial era processes, the way we define transactions over many, many, many years over the last century. And I think that Web 2.0 is the first true emerging technology revolution that will allow us to fundamentally rethink the relationship among people, both within the government as well as between the government and its consumers.
The key questions that were raised in the GAO 21st Century Challenges report that we're going to try to address have to do with collaboration challenges facing the federal government. In particular, we're going to look at this from the standpoint of what the role of technology is in helping to address some of these fundamental collaboration challenges faced by the government today.
Web 2.0 is about creativity. It's about doing things that you never thought you could do before. It's making connections. It's mashing up. I heard that term. It's the ability to take Gmail, and the first thing people did with Gmail is they made it a huge storage device. One of the first applications for the original iPod, the iPod with the screen, was the medical community could download X-rays onto it. So how do we make it so that when someone steps in to the government, they feel not empowered, but they feel like they've entered a kingdom where everything becomes possible?
I met one of the fellows that helped start Facebook, and he started something called Causes. And Causes is a widget that goes on Facebook that allows individuals on Facebook to self-organize, right? So Mary may say, join me for the walk against AIDS, or Save Darfur. And the numbers that they produce are much greater than the numbers I produce. Doesn't mean that my work is unimportant, but it means I ought to be thinking about how to involve them, right? And so in this conference that our little government agency just had in Atlanta, we're giving everybody a widget that they can use on their Facebook site, and the widget kind of allows them to organize their friends around activities that we're promoting, whether it's philanthropy or volunteerism, and we will produce more activity through the widget and through the causes than we would have through 25 grant programs or government programs.
A lot of people ask, is this happening? Right? Are we really? Yeah, right? This isn't happening. This has happened. People are doing this. People who have the light turned on, who look at those four forces, have a problem, and have looked at the tools, they are jumping on. Once you get religion, it seems like people, they just keep finding more and more ways of doing this. It's to tap new audiences, go around traditional structures, become as agile as the threat or the opportunities, and bring leadership, that top of the pyramid, together with the bottom. And hopefully we'll move faster and faster as a government towards bending that frame and getting towards transformational change through closing the gap.
I like your point about you can't jump a 20-foot chasm with two 10-foot jumps. But Molly's got it right too, which is, so go find some 3-foot chasms. Yeah. I mean, don't, you know, when you talk about transformational change and it's a revolution and you immediately terrify 93% of the people you're talking to, now, maybe not the people in this room, but as we all go back to our offices, I think the key is to find those 3-foot chasms, get some easy wins under your belt, and then you start getting people to see that, oh, that 20-foot chasm, A, may not be 20 feet, and B, I may jump farther than I think I can jump today.
Which of the following represents the biggest barrier to effective Web 2.0 implementation? The culture of hierarchy doesn't fit with flattening of the organization, potential loss of control over messaging, limited awareness of and comfort with Web 2.0 technologies, concerns that Web 2.0 initiatives may increase workload or concerns about privacy and security controls can't be managed sufficiently. Which one of those is the biggest barrier? Well, let's see what the results are. Culture of hierarchy, number 1, and limited awareness and comfort with Web 2.0 technologies, number 2. Concerns about privacy. Is anyone surprised by those?
Well, I just think back in TSA, some of the challenges we faced. I think they fall in maybe 3 areas. There's the legal, so with our lawyers, and part of that spills over in privacy, but there's also some legal ramifications. There's IT security concerns, which also has FISMA and legal ramifications with that. And I think also acquisitions, right? How you acquire technologies and services. For example, software as a service or platform as a service is becoming very attractive. Why build the infrastructure yourself if you can buy the infrastructure and just buy the capabilities? So I think those 3 things, in my mind, kind of wrap together.
For folks who've been leaders and early adopters of the technology and of these processes, figuring out the answer to all the questions and overcoming all the barriers before you start is not the model. Right. And folks who've been willing to take chances, willing to dive into the 3-foot chasm, willing to have some issues and experience problems and then resolve them, are making much more progress than those who are sitting on the sidelines. And I think clearly the engagement, and you don't just tomorrow start one of these, but trying it, start small, et cetera, and learn from the experience, I think is where we're seeing success.
Yeah, I only captured a few of the tools in terms of Wikipedia and MySpace and Facebook and blogs, but that it's enabling this level of group discussion and accountability, demanding accountability, helping to organize networks, and to help people to communicate across agencies in ways that we were never able to do before.
But this notion of the idea factory, I think, is a paradigm that all of you can take away and think about as you go back to your agencies. And the notion that the current factory, the workers and the outputs that are contributing to your ideas, be the ideas you're interacting with the public or those internally, is a limited cross-section of the people who actually have ideas. And if you can harness through Web 2.0 technologies that broader cross-section of people to be contributors, to be factory workers, harnessing, improving, and creating the products, how much better are the outcomes going to be? And the nice thing about it when we talk about business case is that return on investment in this paradigm, the I is actually relatively low because we're using open source technology. I mean, if you guys think about how quickly you were able to do something so transformative, that as the federal folks get to the end of their fiscal years, et cetera, the ability to create this large idea factory with your constituencies, internal and external, for relatively no investment, I think is the real power of the discussion today.
It was, I think, throughout the day, interesting to me, all of the walking metaphors. Walking in the door, crossing the threshold, walk a mile in their shoes, the 3-foot chasm. We talked about walking a lot today, which to me meant taking steps. I get involved in lots of transformations, and I get often asked, how do we get started? This is hard. There's lots of barriers. There's lots of reasons why I can't make progress on this. And my response is simply set the pace, take steps, be a leader. And they say, how? And I said, well, every day I turn my phone on and I programmed it to say, set the pace. Because every day we have barriers that we all have to confront, and yet every day we need to do something. And I think the examples that we've heard about today are all about taking steps, setting the pace, and Ajit and our other experts on innovation will tell you one thing that's true about being innovative, and that is that by taking steps, making mistakes from time to time, and learning as you go, you'll get beyond where others have been before you. And that's what innovation is all about.